All right, welcome back, everybody. Just a quick story, a breaking story that's actually come through. We've just seen Sakina, I'm not sure if you're there, you're listening as well, if you've seen it, this statement that has just come out of the presidency. And this is President Ramaphosa reprimands Minister Mboweni for an inappropriate comment. Not sure if you've read this as yet, but I did see this over the weekend, Sakina, where we saw our Finance Minister, Tito Mboweni, coming out guns blazing in terms of the removal of Zambia's central bank governor by President Edgar Lungu. In one of his tweets, Minister Mboweni is promising to mobilize, if not given reasons why the central bank governor was fired by President Lungu. So quite strong words coming up by Ramaphosa, saying that he wishes to assure the government and people of the Republic of Zambia that the unfortunate remarks do not reflect the views of the South African government and its people, and says that the issue is being addressed. So yeah, quite an interesting development there, Sakina. I'm not sure if you've seen it as yet.
I have. Not sure what to make of it, though, because Tito Mboweni is a senior cabinet minister. So he has been, for the longest time, Minister Mboweni making remarks on his Twitter feed. And this about turn now, the castigation from the president. What does this mean?
Yeah,
what are we supposed to read into this? Will there be any further action taken by the president? I guess, it all remains to be seen. This new tough stance that President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to embark on, the fight against corruption. But I remember as far back as 2012, where President Jacob Zuma was also talking about getting tough on corruption. But here we are, 2020, and it's in our bone marrow, as it were.
Absolutely. But yeah, thought it was quite an interesting twist to what we saw coming out of the Finance Minister's Twitter account over the weekend. Sakina, I know you've got an interesting interview coming up now, talking to the Special Investigating Unit's Special Tribunal. Let's talk about this.
Indeed, Leanne. Let's get to that. And in keeping with the fight against corruption, of course. Now, the Special Investigating Unit's Special Tribunal was recently granted an order to freeze nearly 40 million rand from several bank accounts of around 40 companies who wrongfully obtained tenders to supply personal protective equipment, or PPE, from the Gauteng Department of Health. Now, on Thursday, Judge Billy Motle issued the order, and according to the tribunal, Ledla Structural Development, Royal Bhaca Projects and Mediwaste were some of the organizations linked to the alleged looting of COVID-19 funds. So the judge also issued an order to interdict the pension fund of Kabelo Lehloenya, who's the former chief financial officer of the Gauteng Department of Health, and she is being investigated for signing off on some of these tenders. Now, joining us now is Advocate Selby Makgotho, who's the spokesperson of the SIU Special Tribunal, just to give us more information and bring us up to speed about the work that they are doing. Advocate, thanks so much for your time this morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Sakina. Good morning to the viewers, and thanks for having us.
Well, it's good to speak to you again, but for the benefit of our viewers, let's just start by locating your unit, the Special Tribunal, and just telling us exactly what your mandate is.
Thank you very much. The Special Tribunal was established last year. It started functioning as of the 1st of October 2019. Primarily, it is established to seek the civil recovery. It works on recovering the monies that have been inappropriately, unlawfully, illegally awarded. But in this particular case, it has been established in terms of the SIU and the Special Tribunal Act 74 of 1996 to look into issues of financial irregularities, malfeasance, and any other financial misappropriation arising out of the state organs, state departments, district and local municipalities. So it is established on a 3-year term. It started last year and it will be functioning for the next 3 years, primarily to look into the civil recovery arising out of the investigations by the Special Investigating Unit.
So, Advocate Makgotho, let's look at this specific case in point with the alleged 40 million rand or so being frozen. So, are criminal charges being brought against those implicated in this particular case, first and foremost?
At the moment, we are looking into recovering the money. Based on the court papers that are before the special tribunal, there are various allegations of financial irregularities that occurred in the rollout supply of the COVID-19 related tenders. It might happen that during the course of the investigation, certain elements of criminal activities might have been picked up, and in those instances, they would be referred to the criminal investigating agencies, be it the Hawks and or the NPA. At this point in time, there is an interim order wherein it is found that allegations of misappropriation of funds had occurred. It is contended that these contracts were awarded unlawfully, irregularly, and ought to be set aside. So the respondents, 40 as they are, have been given until the 6th of October 2020, wherein they are supposed to come back to the special tribunal and argue the case on its merit, show cause why this order should not be made final and permanent.
So, Advocate, please elaborate on the involvement of Ledla Structural Development and these 40 or so accounts that we are talking about. Are they all related or in some way a part of this Ledla Structural Development tender?
Preliminarily, there is an indication that the first respondent in this instance, Ledla Structural Development Pty Ltd, was paid an amount of 38.7 million on the 3rd of August 2020. Within a day or two, it is alleged that Ledla paid almost 39 companies different amounts that were initially paid to Ledla, but then in terms of the court papers, it is understood that the money was further distributed to the different companies. So these companies, 40 of them are cited as respondents. They've each received a different amount of portion or share of the money, and it is the court's understanding that each respondent will then have to come an account or give his side of the story to basically understand why the money has been paid, much as allegations are that they've been irregularly and unlawfully awarded. But our understanding is that they will come to the court to so indicate. So later it is alleged, yes, there was the contract, there was a relationship that was awarded. But I think I must also indicate that the 40th respondent, which happens to be Royal Bhaca, was initially awarded the contract, which was later cancelled and redirected to Ledla. So the FIU contends in the court papers that Ledla, happens to be the product of Royal Bhaca. But those details will come and be ventilated. So the contract for Royal Bhaca was initially awarded on two phases. First one was the contract of 47 million. The second one was 78.7 million, which were later cancelled and subsequently redirected. That is what is contained in the contract. So there is that prima facie evidence of connection between Ledla and these other companies.
And what about Mediwaste? How do they fit into all of this?
Mediwaste also cited as well had received money, according to the court papers, allegedly to advance. Hello?
We still here, and seemingly we can still hear you, Advocate.
Yes. Mediwaste was indeed given, it received money on the 3rd. In fact, all these companies, as soon as 38.7 million was paid by the Department of Health in Gauteng, it was immediately distributed to the other companies, Mediwaste included.
So I understand, Advocate, the SIU is also withholding the pension fund of Kabelo Lehloenya, who's the former CFO of the Gauteng Department of Health. Explain to us exactly what is going on there and why that pension fund is actually interdicted at this point.
The former chief financial officer is alleged to have authorized payments without following a proper procurement and other legislative prescripts governing procurement policies in the department. Allegedly, Ms. Lehloenya had gone to the extent of signing commitment letters without issuing proper purchase orders. Those are some of the allegations. And then as soon as it came to light that there are irregularities, she resigned. And the SIU, as the applicant, contends that should she be allowed to have access to her pension money, the state would suffer irreparable financial harm. So at this point in time, yes, part of the order granted on Thursday by the special tribunal is that Ms. Lehloenya's pension be interdicted. The government employee pension fund has been served with the papers interdicting Ms. Lehloenya's pension money until such time that proper investigations, which the order states that the SIU should institute within 15 days, that will be 15 days counting from this past Friday, wherein she is required also to come and show cause and also to the plaintiff, her alleged involvement. Various allegations have been detailed against her. That is part of the investigation, but as contained in the court papers, she allegedly went there to give instructions. Some of the companies appointed telephonically without really showing the need or without necessarily following proper procurement procedures. So her resignation would not in any way, according to the SIU, be allowed because it is alleged that the state would suffer irreparable financial harm.
And just finally, Advocate Makgotho, looking at this 40 million rand that we're talking about, it seems to be a drop in the ocean, given that some of these companies were awarded tenders in the hundreds of millions of rands, and we're talking about billions of rands in total funding that was issued for PPEs and the like to fight this pandemic. So are there any other cases? Are there any more companies allegedly involved in PPE fraud that you are looking at the moment?
At the moment, we have these 40 cited companies or entities, but I should also indicate, Sakina, that part of the order interdicts the Department of Health from making further payment. It might be possible that there are certain entities that were still to be paid, but because of these allegations of irregularities, of unlawfulness, the order clearly states that the department is interdicted from making further payments to other entities until all the investigations have been ventilated and follow-ups have been made and parties have been given the opportunity to come and give their side of the story. So it might be possible that there are other funds that still be followed up. But then at this point in time, the only papers we have speak of these 40 entities. And yes, I think on the 6th of October, they will come and show why this should not be granted. However, it may happen even before the 6th of October, the parties or the respondents in this case may approach the special tribunal if they feel that the 6th of October perhaps is too far. We are available to listen to their side of the story.
Well, thank you so much, Advocate Selby Makgotho, who is the spokesperson of the SIU Special Tribunal, talking to us about the new developments in their investigations into the irregular and unlawful procurement of PPE tenders. Well, with that, as promised earlier,